Welcome back to the CBJ show. I'm Brandon, and he's Jason alongside the Zoom box screen, and we're here to preview the 2021 draft. We're going to give you all the analysis and ins and outs of what you need to know for this Thursday's upcoming draft. That's right. The draft starts this Thursday, 8 p.m. with just round one. On Friday, we'll have rounds two and three, and the last rounds 4 through 7 will be on Saturday, May 1st. We've heard that Roger Goodell has been vaccinated. He'll be able to hug the players. Uh, and with that, we'll move into our first discussion, talking about our draft preview. And we're going to first give you a list rundown of who has each pick in the first round. Jason, take it away.
Yeah, the first round, it's a bit of a mess at this point because a lot of teams have traded so many picks. Um, I think the biggest thing that you look at in the beginning is the Houston Texans trading out of the first round before the prior NFL season. Little did they know they would have the rights to the third overall pick, and they traded that pick for Laramie Tunsil on the O line just to try to protect Deshaun Watson, and now that's kind of a mess. And then the Dolphins get that pick, and all these picks are trading around. Now the 49ers have that pick. So run out of the first 32 picks. The Jags at number 1, the Jets at 2, the Niners at 3, the Falcons at 4, Bengals 5, the Dolphins traded back into the top 10 at 6, Lions at 7, Panthers 8, Broncos 9, Cowboys 10, Giants 11, 49ers they kept their normal pick at number 12. So they're gonna have two first round picks in the top 12. The Chargers at 13, Minnesota Vikings at 14, the Patriots at 15, Arizona at 16, Raiders 17, Miami 18. The Washington football team got their 19th pick, or excuse me, yes, the 12th pick was actually traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you for reminding me, Brandon. You just reminded me. Um, yeah, the Eagles made that trade with the Dolphins after the 49ers made a trade after that 12th pick. So the 49ers have their third overall pick, and that's their only first round pick. The Eagles have the 12th pick, and we're thinking they're to take wide receiver. Moving back down at the 19th pick, the Washington football team, like I mentioned, I didn't say it before. 20 is the Bears, 21 the Colts, 22 the Titans, 23 the Jets. They made a trade to get that pick. 24 Steelers. The Jags also made a trade to get 25. Browns 26, Ravens 27. New Orleans Saints got the 28th pick. 29th is the Green Bay Packers. 30th is the Buffalo Bills. The Ravens, they made a blockbuster trade the other day that got them their pick. They traded away their Pro Bowl lineman Orlando Brown Jr. to the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs did give up that first round pick, which is the 31st overall pick. So now the Ravens have two first round picks. So that's going to be very interesting to see who they take. They might want to get some more protection for Lamar because Orlando Brown, they did want to keep him, but he requested a trade. Or they could try to get Lamar some weapons if one of those top receivers falls down to him because this is a heavy wide receiver draft class, and I'm sure the Ravens wouldn't mind adding him. And of course, at number 32, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now we're gonna do a rundown of the top prospects from each category of positions. At quarterback, five guys that we think could go in the first round. Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson, that's a no-brainer. He is 99.9% going number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think everyone can agree on that. Zach Wilson out of BYU. It's looking like he's going to go to the Jets. Justin Fields out of Ohio State. He had a great year. Mac Jones out of Alabama. A bit overrated in my opinion because his team did win the national championship. And we know Alabama, a big powerhouse schools quarterbacks, they don't do too well like Alabama and Ohio State. I mean, Clemson, those quarterbacks, they do pretty well. And North Dakota State, you got Trey Lance, who actually did not play a single game last season. Um, but he's going to be, yeah, Trey Lance did not play last season, but before that, he was playing really well. He didn't throw a single interception in that one season. The only other player that I can name that went to North Dakota State was Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz has had some good years in the NFL, even though he's kind of on the downside of his career, but we're not counting him out right now. So with that, Brandon, what are you looking at for these quarterbacks with Trevor, Wilson, Fields, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance? Any bold predictions where some of these guys go?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. The class of 2021, probably going to see the most QBs go in the top 10 for one of the first times in a long time. We know that Lawrence will go number 1 and Zach Wilson 3, but it really starts once you get to that 49ers. We'll dive in a little bit later with why they moved up to 3, but are they going for Justin Fields? Are they going for Mac Jones, Trey Lance? There are other names out there that we are not listing right now, but it's definitely a big question. Who is going to get these big name QBs? With the Patriots having 15, at first it looked like, a QB would drop to them. But if the Patriots do want one of these top QBs, they would have to move up into the top 10, and I don't see that happening. We'll talk about that later, what the Pats will do. But I love this QB class, and it's probably going to go on the top 10.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'd say 3 or 4 of these quarterbacks for me go top 10. I think someone like Mac Jones and Trey Lance, teams will possibly not want to take him, because the only team I could see reaching for a quarterback, um, other than Justin Fields in like the top 5, would be the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, we'll get on that later. I'm very confused on why the 49ers traded up, because I think they have a good average-ish quarterback in Jimmy G. Um, but we can see who they take. But I mean, in the top 10, you could definitely see the Falcons. They could actually try to get a quarterback for the future, because Matt Ryan is 35 years old, believe it or not. And we don't know how much longer he'll be in the league. He's had many consecutive 4,000-yard seasons. I think that's like some record breaking there. But he's getting older. Maybe Julio gets dealt somewhere elsewhere. There's been so many rumors about that. Calvin Ridley is still there. So I think to build around with Calvin Ridley, he can be a wide receiver 1, in my opinion. You could probably get a new quarterback there. The Bengals, obviously, I'm taking quarterback. They have Joe Burrow, franchise QB. Dolphins, they seem to commit to Tua. Lions just traded for Jared Goff. Wouldn't be surprised if they took a backup QB at some point in the draft, but not in the first round. Panthers got Darnold. Broncos definitely are a team that could take a quarterback. Drew Lock, I'd say give him one more year, and if he's not the guy, he's not the guy. Cowboys have Dak, they're fine. Giants have Daniel Jones, another guy, one more year, and you gotta look at someone else. But I do have a good feeling that Daniel Jones will break out this year. And then with the Eagles, Chargers, and Vikings, I think all of them are committed to a quarterback right now. And that leaves the Patriots. They're in really, really good position to take a good quarterback. And in my opinion, I don't really want a quarterback as a Patriots fan, because I think they can improve other positions. Because, yes, as Cam Newton did not perform well last year, I have a lot of faith in him to be an average to a below average quarterback area, between like the 15 to 20 when you rank quarterbacks. I have him around like 23, which is not great in my opinion. But I think Cam Newton's going to have a rebounding year. And I think you need to look at other spots that's just going to help to solidify the team. The offense looks great. I don't think you need any moves to make there. I mean, you definitely could draft a wide receiver, but because Edelman was gone. But the Patriots do have a really good wide receiving core and tight ends. Cams have a lot of targets. You have Hunter Henry. You have Nelson Aguilar, Jonnu Smith, Jacoby Myers, Kendrick Bourne, N'Keal Harry, and the list goes on and on. So I think the Patriots look defense here. Personally, I know a lot of people love the offense for that pick, but I'm looking at someone like Micah Parsons, who we'll get into later, that will fall to the Patriots.
I'd also like to add that there have been rumors. These just want to clarify, these are not official trades that are happening, but there are rumors that teams like the Dolphins and the Panthers are looking to would be interested in moving back down for a team in need of a QB and to move up into the top 10. Like what we saw, we'll get into the Niners trade, but it costs a lot to get into the top 10. 3 is definitely higher than 6 and more money, but teams like the Patriots, if they do want to get into the top 10, they may have to give up stuff that they're not wanting to do. So that's just rumors, and we'll keep you guys updated if we hear anything more. And follow along for stuff on our Instagram. We'll try to post a lot of stuff about the draft. If there's any surprises that we don't know. So other than that, Jason, continue with the running back class.
Yeah, the running back class, it's a bit of lackluster outside the top 2, in my opinion. You got Najee Harris out of Alabama. Alabama is known for producing some of the best running backs in the NFL. Notably, you got Derrick Henry. I can name a lot of other guys, not off the top of my head right now, but Alabama is known for producing some of the best running backs in the nation. Also, Damian Harris on the Patriots is one guy that went there. And here's Najee Harris from Alabama. He's looking fantastic. He was a big factor in why that team went on that big national championship run as that starting back for Mac Jones to hand the ball off to. And I think he's going to be a great fit wherever he goes. A lot of teams are in need of a running back, and I think he could probably sneak in the first round. A team I'm really looking at for him is actually the Pittsburgh Steelers, because James Conner did leave for the Arizona Cardinals. James Conner was not a good running back, but he's a running back you can keep on roster as your number one running back. Not great, but I think Najee Harris is a franchise running back right away. You got Travis Etienne. Sorry if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly. He played alongside Trevor Lawrence, and I think he could sneak into the first round. Then UNC had a 1-2 punch with Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. We could see them go probably 2 to 3, top 3 round. Then Jarrett Patterson out of Buffalo. So I'm really liking this running back class. Brendan, if you have any notes on that, you can add them. But I'm thinking Najee Harris is a franchise running back right away. I think Travis Etienne is a project player. And these other guys, they'll be useful, but I don't see them being as impactful.
Yeah, I think Najee Harris could be a good player. He is definitely on top of the running back class, and this is actually a really good transition into the wide receiver class. And we've seen a top player from Alabama in both QB, running back, and wide receiver with Mac Jones and Najee Harris and Devontae Smith. So talking about the wide receiver class, we got Devontae Smith from Alabama, Jamar Chase from LSU, Jalen Waddle from Alabama as well, Sean Bateman from Minnesota, Rondale Moore from Purdue, Kadarius Toney from Florida, and Terrace Marshall Jr. from LSU. We see both LSU and Alabama got two guys from their school in this top wide receiver list, and LSU definitely a surprise, not always a big school name, but we know Joe Burrow came from there, so LSU can definitely bring some good top prospects.
Yeah, LSU brings the top prospects every year. Last year, they took up almost like a lot of the draft. I think they took up a little over I don't know the calculations, but it was probably like a little under 5% of the entire draft, because they had like 11 guys, I think, or something like that, get drafted. But like guys like Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Patrick Queen, and others. And they're producing other guys this year. Jamar Chase was a big reason why LSU won the national championship in the 2020 season with Joe Burrow, and he's going to come in great. And then for Alabama, you get the Heisman winner, Devontae Smith, coming in. I think he can go top 10 easily. We've seen these Heisman winners always go really high, and the only Heisman winner to never go in the first round was back in 2016 with Derrick Henry, and I think all those teams are wishing that they could have a redraft, because Derrick Henry is turning into arguably the best running back in the NFL. And then Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith's teammate, he looked really, really good alongside him. I know he missed a bit of time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not following college football up, but I know he was a bit overshadowed by Devontae Smith, even though Waddle could be better for the NFL. But I think he's going to be pretty good. And then you got you mentioned Jamar Chase up LSU. Terrace Marshall, his teammate out of LSU. Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. He's a guy that could go pretty high in my opinion. Rondale Moore and Kadarius Toney are other guys. Tight end, I'd say there's only two guys that are really notable, and there's one that could turn into a top 5 tight end as a rookie, and that is Kyle Pitts out of Florida. He is an absolute freak. On the on the college football field. And I know he's going to be doing the same thing in the NFL with whichever team takes him. Totally could see someone like the Falcons take him if they don't go the quarterback route. I love Kyle Pitts, and I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end by the end of the 2021 season. You also got Pat Freiermuth from Penn State. He had a good year, and I think he could probably sneak his way into the second round. Brandon, what do you think about someone like Kyle Pitts, and how far do you think he'll go in his rookie season in the NFL and throughout his career?
Yeah, it's really funny you talking about this, and that's my opinion, because I was actually really high on him. Before the Pats with NFL free agency, they went on to get Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. I was saying this should be the guy that the Patriots target with the 15th pick. And I was actually circling the day when Florida was going to have their pro day, but after the NFL free agency and we got 2 tight ends, I decided I didn't need to keep that circled. But I think Kyle Pitts is going to be great and definitely top 5 tight end. We've seen the tight ends class isn't the best class. I think a lot of times when you think of stars, you think of QB, running back, wide receiver, someone in the secondary. But tight ends, there are a few notable players with Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, notably playing in the Super Bowl against each other. But I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a top 5, no doubt about it. Moving to the offensive line, we got Penei Sewell from Oregon, Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, and Elijah Vera Tucker from University of South Carolina. Offensive line and defense, offensive line usually does not get a lot of mention because their goal is just to block the defense from coming. They're usually just big guys and not a lot of notable names. But I think, I don't know about what you know about these players, Jason, but I think anyone that could be a star in the offensive line could help a team out here and there.
Yeah, for sure. And the guy I'm looking at here is that first name that you mentioned, Penei Sewell out of Oregon. He's looked really good in college, and I think he's going to probably be a top 10 pick. I said a lot of guys could be top 10 picks, but I'm really feeling good about this guy, Penei Sewell. And I think the team that has to target him, even though they're rumored to go after Jamar Chase, I think the Cincinnati Bengals need to target Penei Sewell because Joe Burrow, he can definitely be the franchise quarterback for the Bengals, and I think he can be there for years and years and years, and even take them to the promised land of the Super Bowl one day. But you need protection for him. We saw that he had that gruesome injury last year as a rookie, and that just goes to show how the Bengals have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. He was sacked so many times last year, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just really hard to watch such a good talent like Joe Burrow, the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, have his season end like that, because I think Joe Burrow is going to do some great things in his career. He's showing some great stuff when he's doing his training and getting back into the groove. He's looking pretty healthy now, and I think he'll be ready for that first year. We saw him in the photo when the Bengals actually released their new jerseys for the season. He's looking like he's healing a bit. But yeah, you need Penei Sewell or a big body on there to protect Joe Burrow. And also Rashawn Slater could probably say top 15 to top 20. I think he's going to be pretty good. I don't really know which teams really want to target him. But he's gonna be good. And then Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC, I think he could probably sneak into the first round, like the 20s to 30s. But if he goes in the second round, I think the team that would get him is an absolute steal. Look at defensive linemen. This is honestly not a strong position in my opinion. You have Christian Barmore of Alabama. Alabama is always producing those good defenders. Then you got Greg Rousseau out of Miami. This is the one position where I'm not really familiar with some of the players, but I do know a bit about Barmore. I think he's also a guy that can get into the first round. And Russo, probably not first round in my opinion. I think he get in the second round. If you anything to add, Brandon, about these guys, but I don't think the defensive lineman class is going to be great. Obviously, there are a lot more names in this, but these are just two of the guys that we think could sneak into the first round.
Yeah, I don't really know much about the defensive line class, and I don't want to make it look like that no one cares about that position. Definitely an important position. No position is more important than the others. So we wanted to add that. And moving on, I think this is your favorite, Jason, the linebacker position with Micah Pearson coming out of Penn State. And then I know another name is Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah. Hopefully I'm saying that name correctly. You were talking about Micah Pearson's as a player the Pats should target with the 15th overall pick. Jason, do you still believe that, or do you think someone like in the offense is a better player?
I'm still definitely hoping that the Patriots take someone like Micah Parsons out of Penn State. And yes, the Patriots do have a good linebacker class, like going into the year, and I think they could, look pretty good with their linebacking core as they have it, because they have Dante Hightower, Kyle Van Noy, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, Raekwon McMillan. I probably missing a few names there. They got a lot of good guys at that position, and I think they're gonna be really good going to the year. But getting an edge kind of rusher, because I think Micah Parsons will be more of an outside linebacker than inside linebacker in the NFL, in my opinion. And for me, I feel like Dante Hightower is a guy that will not be on the team at least in 2022. because this is his last year of his contract, and also the Patriots do need to make some cuts eventually, and he has a massive contract. He hasn't played a single game since 2019, and we don't really know who he's going to bring. Dante Hightower he's been a big part of this, I guess, second part of the Brady Belichick dynasty in the 2010s. He had one of the most clutch forced fumbles in NFL history in Super Bowl 51 against the Falcons, that led to a touchdown and 2-point conversion on a great drive. So Dante Hightower is a staple piece to this Patriots franchise, but it's I wouldn't say as much as Edelman, but he is a cut candidate. And Micah Parsons, you got some fresh legs out of there. And I think Micah Parsons, if teams skip on him, I love Micah Parsons going to New England Patriots. He'll be great running out the outside. And the Patriots do have a great young core along with Uche and Jennings. So he'll be great with getting some chemistry with the young guys. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, don't know much about him, but I do know the name, and I think he could also sneak into the first round. If you look at the secondary, the cornerbacks, I'd say, are better than the safeties. I only wrote down one safety, which is Trevon Moehrig out of TCU. I think he could also be a first or second round pick. He's looking pretty good in college. But I think the cornerbacks are actually, you got a really good class there. You got Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. You got Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. It's actually his father, Patrick Surtain Sr., was in the NFL. You got J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. So I think Caleb Farley and Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn, they are all candidates to go into the top 15 of this class because the cornerback position is getting more valuable and valuable because the receivers are getting faster and faster. You need to be able to keep up with them. And if you have guys that are coming in here like Devontae Smith with how fast that he runs, you need to have cornerbacks that can cover someone like that. And you have to see other cornerback positions evolving, and teams are going to value them a bit more. And the guy that I'm really liking here is actually probably J.C. Horn. I think he's going to be really underrated. I don't think he's going to be the first cornerback taken. I probably think he's going to be the last of these 3 cornerbacks that I listed. But I'm looking at a lot of good things from someone like J.C. Horn. I think Patrick Surtain, with his father's experience in the NFL, he's going to do just fine. And Caleb Farley, I think he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I think you're right on talking about secondaries. They need to keep up with this wide receiving class. And I would say that a lot of players who have been in the league for a lot longer are probably starting to get older. And when they were in their prime, these players, you could say they were fast, but they were able to match the speed of the wide receiver. So having a really good secondary is really helpful, and there's plenty of teams in the NFL that could use it. We kind of touched upon what the Pats will do, and but I think we really need to talk about one of the biggest parts of this NFL draft and what is going on with the 49ers. So, like Jason mentioned earlier, they traded up the 12th pick to get the 3rd overall. They actually had to give some picks for next year as well. They had to give up a lot of picks. And the biggest question is, why did they go for the number 3? A lot of teams, when they go top 3, there's someone they're looking for. And this year has a lot of QBs. So if you tried to go up 12 to 3, which is 9 spots, you're probably looking for a top QB in this draft. The thing that is very confusing to a lot of people, and no one really knows the question, is why do they want a QB when they're still holding Jimmy G for over $25 million? So on one hand, they want a young QB, but on the other hand, they also want to hold Jimmy G and keep so much money. So that's the biggest question. Jason, you got any analysis on this?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised how the 49ers are handling this. I mean, Jimmy G, he looked to be the franchise QB as he was the quarterback on a team that was minutes away from winning the Super Bowl in the 2019 season, 2019-2020 season. I mean, yes, he might have gotten carried by his defense. That is something to look at. I think they also had the best running back group with Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Jeff Wilson, Jerick McKinnon, and all those guys. They were all on roster. And you could definitely say that Jimmy G was not the reason that the 49ers made it there. And that's kind of a reason why they don't think that, because the defense has weakened just a bit, through free agency, as Richard Sherman is still a free agent. They've lost some other guys. DeForest Buckner, we saw in 2019, the 2020 offseason, last offseason. DeForest Buckner, one of the best defensive linemen in the league, went to the Indianapolis Colts. Uh, and they're not confident that Jimmy G is the guy that can take them to a Super Bowl again. And I don't really know if Jimmy G is a top 20 quarterback anymore. I don't, because he's been so injury prone, and you don't know what he's going to be like after another injury like the one that he just had. He's good when he's on the field. I do not like Jimmy G's game personally, because it's not really fitting in with the NFL today. But I'm hoping the best for him. But for the 49ers, I'm without a doubt predicting that they're going to take a quarterback. I'd be very surprised if they trade up there just get someone like Penei Sewell to protect Jimmy G. Because Jimmy G, he is, I believe, in his late 20s. He might be 30. I'm not sure about his age. But he's at that point where in his career, teams need to figure out if he's going to be a good quarterback for the next upcoming years. And I just don't see that with Jimmy G. And I think if you do take a quarterback, Justin Fields would be the perfect fit for the 49ers because they love their run game. Justin Fields has legs. We've seen him run his 40-yard dash many times, and he is without a doubt the fastest quarterback in this class. And he's got a good arm. He upset Trevor Lawrence and Clemson last year, and he led his team all the way to face Alabama in the national championship, where they unfortunately lost. And I think Jimmy G's job is definitely in jeopardy at quarterback. I do think that he'll get the start this year with whoever's behind him, which I don't really like personally. I think they should let the young guy get the job. But I think if with one injury and he goes down, Jimmy G's job is gone in San Francisco. One more injury, and I think they have to let him walk. And his contract is huge, like Brandon mentioned, about $25 million per year. So if he has a bad year, they might either let him walk or maybe even cut him, or maybe they pull off a blockbuster draft night trade, which we're looking for. Maybe they don't take Justin Fields. Maybe they package Jimmy G in that third round pick for like a Deshaun Watson trade. That would be something. So I'm really looking forward to see what they do. But I do think that if they are to keep that pick, they're going to draft a quarterback and probably start Jimmy G week 1. But as the season progresses and Jimmy G gets hurt, I think that quarterback could definitely make a starting appearance.
Yeah, I think the biggest question is, what do the 49ers do with that number 3 pick? We know Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson will go number 1 and number 2, but will Justin Fields or Mac Jones or Trey Lance go number 3? And that's something that no one knows because of, like Jason mentioned, they traded up for this third pick to get a young guy, but they also have a huge contract with Jimmy G, and it'd be really weird if they just let Jimmy G go after saying Jimmy G's our guy and he's in the future. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the 2022 offseason that the Patriots go after Jimmy G, because they didn't seem to do anything this year because GM John Lynch wanted to keep him as the main guy. But after they traded up to the 3rd overall pick, I think there's more questions. And depending on what happens this year with who they pick, and if they pick a young QB and this young QB shines, is Jimmy G's career over? And it's something interesting to think about as we are getting into the NFL draft. Jason, I got one more question for you, and it's back to the draft. And who is your sleeper pick of this 2021 draft?
Yeah, there's a lot of big names here. I'm definitely not going quarterback this year. I think there's a lot of overrated quarterbacks here. I have a lot of names here that I could go with, but I'd probably say my sleeper pick is, I'd say, J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I think he's going to have a good career, assuming he stays healthy. Another guy that I would consider is probably Micah Parsons out of Penn State. I think both of them, if they fall outside the top 15, teams are getting a steal. And I think teams will pass on them if they see similar positions get passed on, because the NFL draft, it's not like fantasy football where if you see a tight end get drafted, you're going to take a tight end right after them. Teams have position needs. They already have a franchise set up, and you see how valuable these positions get And if teams, try to undervalue a cornerback, as this game is kind of evolving to the point where cornerbacks need to be a lot faster, I could see someone like J.C. Horn go a little undervalued. I do think that the offensive lineman position is getting a little bit overrated. Um, if Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater both go top 10, I think Sewell should go top 10, maybe even top 5. But I don't know if I want two offensive linemen going top 10. We saw there's a lot last year. And the wide receiver is going to be my prime position to look at here. Within the top 15, I think at least 3 of them will go top 15, probably even 4 or 5. Brandon, any other predictions you got?
No, I think you did well. You hit the nail on the hammer. Hit the hammer on the nail, as we talk about when you getting it right on. Yeah, a lot of sleeper picks. Definitely very interesting. We'll keep an eye out on. So check out our Instagram at cbj.sports, all lowercase in one word. That's cbj.sports. CBJ Sports on Instagram for more details and things to know about with the NFL draft that starts this Thursday, April 29th. All right, we're going to get into headlines for this episode. Yesterday, the Knicks beat the Raptors to maintain a 9-game win streak. In hockey, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the New Jersey Devils, and Buffalo Sabres have been eliminated from NHL playoff contention. The Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, and Minnesota Wild have all clinched NHL playoff spots. All right. In football news, Steelers re-signed head coach Mike Tomlin to a new extension that keeps him until 2024. In basketball, the Timberwolves and Rockets already been eliminated from the NBA playoff contention with less than a month to go. The NBA race is heating up and getting tight with the new play-in structure. In baseball, Dodgers lead the National League with a 15-6 record, and the Athletics in the AL lead the American League with a 14-7 record. Warriors superstar point guard Steph Curry has been on a tear in the month of April, averaging 38.2 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. That's 53% from the field, 47% from three-pointers, and 92% from the free throw line. Only other players to have done that in a span of 11 games like Steph is Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If you heard, the NFL has approved the New Jersey changing rule that was put out by the Kansas City Chiefs that allows positional players like wide receiver, running back, and tight end to wear single-digit numbers. On Twitter, it seems like Tom Brady didn't like the idea. Don't know if he's joking or not. He's a pretty funny guy. But the Chiefs put out that so now positional players like running back, wide receiver, and tight end can wear single digits like players did in college. With NBA, the Nets superstar guard James Harden will be out indefinitely. Alex Smith, he announced retirement last week, and Wizards moved up to 26-33 as they are on a 7-game win streak, making their way into the play-in tournament. Westbrook is breaking triple-double records like crazy. Lakers superstar forward Anthony Davis has returned from injury, and LeBron James and LaMelo Ball are both nearing a return for their teams. In baseball news, Red Sox outfielder and DH JD Martinez is tied for the most home runs in the MLB, is second in the MLB in hits, and teammate Xander Bogaerts leads him by 1 in that category, and Martinez leads the league in runs batted in. Pacers Miles Turner is out indefinitely, and the Revolution won last night 1-0 against DC United. Home opener fans had 8,000 fans for the home opener, and they won 1-0. Matt Turner held the shout-out, and that is all for this week's sports headlines. If you heard last week, we are sponsored every week by Anchor. Anchor.fm is the easiest way to start a new podcast. I want to thank Cam, who couldn't be here today, but he sets up so you can listen on all your devices on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you want to listen. So Anchor is the easiest way to start a podcast, and we're thanking them for sponsoring us. With that, we mentioned, check out our Instagram, CBJ Sports. And other than that, that's a lot of news to share. Anything else, Jason?
Just very excited for the draft. Stay tuned. Our Instagram will post a lot on the story about the draft picks and maybe some in-draft trades and all the coverage you need.
All right, NFL Draft starts this Thursday. And with that, we'll see you on the next episode of the CBJ podcast. Peace.